Step aside, Vanguard. It's Battlefield 2042 time, baby. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Blank Online here today to chat to you more about some Battlefield 2042. I told y'all I'm not making any more Call of Duty videos. I told y'all I'm gonna try something different. I'm gonna start talking some Battlefield, where DICE is making a game that looks like a real video game. That's not a copy and paste of some other game that came out 2 years ago, but that's besides the point. Today, let's do a little bit of an overview on all the things that's happening. Obviously, yesterday we got the reveal of the Battlefield 2042 beta. There's also some information in regards to what we're going to be playing in that beta, but I'm also going to talk about the communication between DICE, EA, and the community surrounding this game's release. But first and foremost, let's get into those details. Here is the Battlefield 2042 open beta website. Here is where you're going to be seeing all these FAQs, tips and tricks, things like details in regards to the beta as well. And if you haven't seen the beta trailer yet, you must be living under a rock. But if you haven't seen it, the link will be in the description down below for both this website and a link to the open beta trailer. Not going to show it here because I'll probably be copyright struck. But the first and foremost thing, obviously, the Battlefield 2042 beta will be releasing on October the 6th. Now, that is just for open beta access. So from 6 to 7 of October is going to be early access for people who have pre-ordered the game, or if you're an EA Plus member. If you haven't done either of those things, you can play the beta from October the 8th through the October the 9th. So you have 2 days of play, whereas if you pre-order or if you're an EA Play member, you get from the 6th to the 9th of October to experience Battlefield 2042 early. This is exactly what we wanted to see. Obviously, it's not like Call of Duty where there's a weekend for PlayStation and then there's a weekend for everyone else. Here, it's not going to be exclusive to any sort of console, so you can just play the game whether you're on PC, Xbox, or PS5, or PS4, or Series X, or whatever there is out there now, and you can hop on Battlefield and play the game. So those are the dates of the beta. Let's have a look at what we're going to be playing in the beta. This is one of the modes we're going to be playing is Conquest. If you've never played Battlefield before, or if you're mainly a Call of Duty player, which I know a lot of you people on this channel are, Conquest is basically domination on steroids. Depending on how big the map is, you can get maybe 4 flags, maybe it's 5 flags, maybe it's 6 flags. Again, depends on how big the map is. Essentially, you battle for control of those flags and therefore control of the match. The more flags you own, the faster the little ticker of the enemy team's score will go down. Killing enemies will also make that ticker go down as well, but the main thing will be capturing the flags and holding those flags for a certain amount of time until the enemy's lives, sort of, if we say it like that, deplete fully. This is different again to Call of Duty, where Call of Duty you get a point basically for every flag you have captured, whereas here in Battlefield you actually genuinely need to capture flags in order to win the game, therefore making Conquest a lot more of a objective play friendly game. Let's just say it's not really about going for all out kills, it's more about holding positions, capturing flags, getting that W, which is what I like a lot more about Conquest than I do about current day Call of Duty. Map, we have Orbital. Now this is the map that I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen, where there's the big spaceship in the middle, and then there's the Levolution event that happens where the spaceship launches and then blows up and it changes the map. That is that map. I don't know if we're going to get any of these other maps that we've seen in previous trailers and that sort of stuff, but it seems like Orbital is the one that's going to be the one that we play here in the beta, and I don't mind that if it's only one map for the entire weekend, because I mean, it's only a weekend. Like, it's not like Call of Duty where we got 4 maps and they're all sort of smaller maps. If you combine all those 4 smaller maps, they're probably the same size as this Orbital map, so I don't really mind. I think one map will allow us to get more of a feel of things like bug fixes and weapon balancing changes and that sort of stuff, and not so much about the maps, because in my opinion at least, I find that most of the Battlefield maps are fairly solid, and most of them work quite well within the setting, whereas for example in Call of Duty you'd sort of need to test out and feel out the maps for things like spawns and that sort of stuff. Not too much the case here in Battlefield because they use the squad spawn system and it's a much larger map. So that is the map we'll be playing there in the beta. Let's have a look at the specialists we'll be playing as in the open beta. We have Webster McKay, Maria Falk, Piotr Guskovsky, and Wickes Van Dale. Now obviously specialists are kind of taking over from the original class system that we're known as in Battlefield, but it's also gonna sort of stay the same. So basically, from what I can see here, we've got Webster, who is our assault class. We have Maria, which is our medic. Then we have Piotr, who is our support, and then we have Wickus, who is our scout. Is it scout? Oh man, I don't even know. Recon, sorry, it's recon in Battlefield. My brain is all mumbled there, but there are 4 classes. So I like that what they're doing here. They're taking the specialist system, or the character-based specialist system, which is what we've seen, like for example in Call of Duty, where you have these different characters. But what Battlefield is doing differently, you have these different characters within these different roles. Now, if you've never played Battlefield before, again, these roles allow you to fulfill some sort of part in your team. Your assault takes down things like infantry, like tanks and helicopters and that sort of stuff, because they have all the explosive gear. Your medics obviously heal teammates, so they give out medic boxes or bandages and revive teammates as well. Your support streaks, they have things like LMGs, so they can sort of mount those LMGs and provide covering fire, things like that. And then your recons do things like scouting, so marking enemies on the map, things like that, setting trip mines and doing all those sort of stuff, and of course reconning out people from far distances using a sniper. So each specialist has their own role, and obviously these are the characters we're going to be playing, and the roles that they will have as well within the game. Here we go. For all the PC people out there, these are your requirements that you will need to play the beta on PC. Assumedly, these will be the same requirements you will need to actually play the full game. I highly doubt that this will really change from now until the full release of the game. But let's just have a look at this. So in terms of operating system, 64-bit Windows 10, which is pretty bulk standard across the board. If you're running a 32-bit Windows 10, I don't know why you exist. Processor, so they're recommending a minimum of an AMD Ryzen 5 3600 and a recommended Ryzen 7 2700X. So those are some pretty beefy specs. Keep in mind that so the Ryzen 5 3600 is a 6-core processor, or if you want an Intel variant, it's a Core i5 6600K or i7 4790. If I'm honest with you, I would, if you're looking to build a PC for Battlefield, I would go the Ryzen route more than anything. A Ryzen 5 3600 is a solid chip, especially with those extra cores in there, and then the 2700X is also a very solid chip. I think that's an 8-core CPU. If my memory serves me correctly, X means it's overclocked as well, so you get more performance there. In terms of memory or RAM, you're looking at 8 gigs minimum or 16 gigs recommended. I know most people who are probably watching this and playing on PC have a minimum of 16 anyway, so that's not too much of a worry there. In terms of a minimum VRAM requirement, you're looking at 4 gigs as a minimum, and a recommended 8 gigs, which is again pretty standard. In terms of graphics cards, and this is where it gets pretty interesting, they're asking for a minimum 1050 Ti if you're looking at an NVIDIA rig, or an AMD RX 560. And in terms of recommended, they're recommending an RTX 3060 or a Radeon RX 6600 XT. Now, at a recommended 3060, that's pretty tough. I know a lot of people don't have the 30 series graphics cards. I myself don't even have a 30 series graphics card, mainly because they're so hard to get a hold of. And if they're recommending a 3060 for this game, that's going to be a little bit tough, because if you have a system that's sort of in between the minimum and the recommended, you're probably going to be only able to play this game maybe medium settings, high settings possibly, with a lot of things like shadows and that sort of stuff all the way down. So again, that's interesting, but probably the biggest thing here is going to be the hard drive space. 100 gigabytes of hard drive space, and that's just for the beta. I don't know if that's going to be for the full game. I'd assume 100 gigs around that will be for the full game as well, but keep in mind we're only getting a couple of specialists, a couple of weapons, a mode, a map, and that's already 100 gigs. It could be that they're getting ready for the full game, and once the full game releases, it's going to be there or thereabouts, but 100 gigs is quite a lot of space on a hard drive, especially if you have Warzone on your PC. That's going to be absolutely crazy. But that's all we have here for the open beta details. I sort of quickly want to touch on communication between the development teams and the community. One of the more disappointing things about Battlefield 2042's release schedule is the lack of that communication. I remember with Battlefield 5, there was this whole roadmap, right? And things were happening every couple of weeks where you had little tidbits of information, gameplay reveals and trailers and that sort of stuff. Whereas now with 2042, it seems like they're being very secretive, or they're lacking in that communication barrier. I think besides from this open beta trailer, the last thing we got was the announcement that it was going to be delayed, and the only thing before that was that quick gameplay trailer reveal thing. Like, there hasn't really been too much news or too much information or too many leaks in regards to 2042. Now, it may just be that they're keeping this secret, which is fair enough, but I think we need a little bit more communication, especially getting this close to release. 2042 is scheduled to release on the 19th of November. It's currently the 29th of September at the time that I'm recording this video. So there's a lot of things that we still don't know about this game. Again, whether that be a good thing or a bad thing is up to you to sort of decide, but personally for myself, I'd like a little bit more communication from DICE and EA on this game. I didn't want sort of the problem with this, right? And the problem with first off, the delay of the game was that leakers announced that it was getting delayed before they did. And with the beta as well, leakers and things like that announced the beta dates before the developers themselves. Now, that's not a taboo occurrence. Leakers usually say things before the developers come out and say it, but I think it's more amplified because they haven't been saying anything in the first place. So I guess hopefully, I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, but hopefully once the game releases and everything's sort of out there for everyone to play and experience, then we can get a lot more communication from the developers about how this game's going, what they're sort of looking to fix and all that sort of stuff. And I hope we get that communication as well during the beta periods and after the beta periods as well, once all the feedback has been given to the devs as well, because I think we need a little bit more stable communication, because not only will that keep players informed on how the game's going, that'll continue the hype train that this game has generated. I think it's sort of died down a little bit because there really hasn't been anything about 2042 up until this point. And I think once the beta releases, then that hype will sort of come back again, but that needs to continue, and the only way that continues after a beta is through communication. But that's all I have for you guys today. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Comment down below if you're going to be trying out the Battlefield 2042 player. I know a lot of you are COD fans, so as Call of Duty fans, will you be hopping on October the 9th, 8th to the 9th, or will you be pre-ordering the game and experiencing it for the whole weekend? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below, and if you want more Battlefield content, I will be playing the beta all weekend. I'll be covering the game as much as there is to cover up until the game's release and throughout the game's release as well. Again, as I said, I'm trying to move away from Call of Duty because Vanguard's a piece of shit. So yeah, let me know in the comment section down below if you want to see that content, and click subscribe as well to see that in the future. But I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Me and Lil J, we Scotty MJ, bashing the rock, we're here in the fade. Pull up in a whip with 21 babes, here come the bastards, 21 days. Gun you boy, I know he's a waste. Baby, I know that you want a little taste. I know you want all the bass in your face. Brand new bag and brand new nails. Me and Lil J, we Scotty MJ, bashing the rock, we're here in the fade. Pull up in a whip with 21 babes, here come the bastards, 21 days.